Hello, everyone. It is November 3rd. We've just had our after Halloween Day of the Dead, Novembers 1 and 2. I've been reading up on it. There's a lot of links to Mexico, Dia de los Muertes. There's a lot of Catholic, and this video is about the idea of ethnicity versus race. And this is a long term theme in my blogs and at my 1990s website. If you've watched this channel, you know that I sometimes come back to this, what I refer to as a dig, meaning an archaeological site, like an early website that I don't like actively maintain because I'm more interested in just preserving it, right, as a specimen and exhibit of where I was at in the 1990s, right? And I have this glossary of terms page. If you check archive.org, it goes way back to the beginning of this website. And here's this no race, no class section where I take on this idea of race. And I struggle with it as a poor invention. The whole idea of race is it's very linked to animal husbandry and our ideas of animal breeds, and that you can create breeds and pedigree them, which connects to royalty, who's got a pedigree, who's not, who's got a lineage, the importance of all that kind of tracking your ancestors. A lot of cultures have that. And I want to say that permeating the websites and stuff that I do, you'll find these like allusions, allusions, to other cultures, but specific ones sometimes. Like I'm just showing you this excerpt of very tasteful art at a very high end casino called Angel of the Winds. And this whole album on my Flickr has a North Circuit album where I took a trip to visit friends back in what? I don't know. This is going back quite a few years. And I got a very good tour of the then and completed, really, Angel of the Winds Casino. But you'll find earlier pictures and blog posts where they're still building a new wing of it or whatever. Let me just type in racism, for example, in my Bismo diaries. Just again to give the flavor of something that I think about, right? So I don't want to have people say, "Oh, you never told us you had stuff about race in your whatever blogs." Like, "Oh, I'm not going to touch this now. I see that it's controversial because she talks about stuff like that." So it's a lot because I grew up all over the place, right? I was like not a military brat, but I got to go on base. I don't want to say I'm not exposed to military brat as a meme, possibly viral. I don't know. You tell me what kind of brat I am, right? I'm sure you will. But in any case, there's a lot of stuff. And here's the big thing. Here's what I want to say. Two things. Two things that we can argue about if you feel like arguing. Is cultural appropriation really a crime? What is that actually? When they say imitation's the sincerest form of flattery, kids grow up imitating and copying adults around them in terms of behavior, what you think. I would say we all appropriate culture. That's what we do to become anything other than, I don't know, an undeveloped non person who doesn't have any culture at all. It's like a computer on the shelf before any programs. And I could argue you can't even be born that way. We got programs. It's a deep discussion, let's just say. So I'll wrap this up and say what I appreciate about ethnicity over race is something that other people can impose on you. You don't get to tell me if you're a Jew, and that used to be considered a race, right? Ideologically, maybe some still do, and the genetic markers of that and so on, that would be a deep topic, right? But I'm just saying, race is played as a language game where they get to tell you, and there's nothing you can do. You try to hide it or deny it or something. but they get to ferret it out. You see, it's that kind of thing. Now, ethnicity is different. You can be born in this small rural community of Arizona or whatever, and 40, 50, 60 years later, you're a whole different animal because of where you've lived, what cultures you've adopted, what languages you speak. You have blended together some ethnicity, and it's really a lot up to you to let others know what ethnicity you turned into. And in my case, let's just end by looking on my Twitter. Since I was very little and in this part of the world, right? So at the top of World Game, you've got links to my two Twitter accounts, and I just want to show the kind of art I'm talking about. It's the same that was in that casino. I've always had a fascination with the culture that was here geographically a long time before I was, and I feel a real affinity for that culture. And I don't feel as cultural appropriation. I feel happy to be influenced by. I feel just like I like Chinese food, right? Is that cultural appropriation or is that the spread of Chinese culture, right? I think before you're real accusatory and get in somebody's face and tell them their crime, you should think that the accusations you come up with when you go to accuse people are very reflective of your ethnicity. And maybe you're just a Puritan. And I'm a Quaker. I'm not a Puritan, though. I would not respect myself if I was getting in people's faces with their crimes a lot, right? Because I'm more of an anthropologist than that. I'm not so like, you should have the same ethics as me. It's not that. It's not that. And that's what I like about ethnicity is you get to say what your ethnicity is. Like I can go up to say, I can say to someone, I lived in Japan all my life. I speak fluent Japanese, and I consider myself Japanese, really, in a very deep sense, even if I look the way I look. And that's an intelligible thing to say. At least it makes some kind of sense. That you can tell others what your ethnicity is based on your life story, it fits, even if you can still kind of question it. But race, it's not like that at all. Authorities get to tell you, and just on that basis, I'm going to say I'm into phasing out the whole thing about race, and ethnicity's fine. We'll keep that. That's a fine concept, ethnicity. There's nothing wrong with that. But race, only some ethnicities are fixated on race. I think some ethnicities are kind of free of it. Not that they don't even see what the races are. How many are there again? Like how many really? And if you can't answer that, I think a lot of people get it in Bible school and then forget. It's Noah and that story. That's what gives people a sense. It's how many sons did Noah have? 5. Okay, there's 5 races. So be aware if that's where your thoughts come from. If it's biblical for you or what, just figure it out. That has to do with your ethnicity. What is your ethnicity? Good question. Ask yourself. Don't say you don't have one. Ethnicity is those people we study. I don't have an ethnicity. No, 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 no. You misunderstand the concept completely if that's your thought. Get an education. All right. Talk to you soon.